And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, with WCS EU Challenger. We're moving into our second series of the day where we get into a Protoss versus Protoss. And so we decided to bring on our Protoss expert. My name is FearDragon, and we have Nathanius, the greatest Protoss that ever lived. What's up?
Oh yeah, I mean, if these guys cannon rush as much as everybody cannon rushes me when I play Protoss on ladder, then this is going to be a great series. Super excited to be back for Challenger, by the way. I noticed that they put us, the marks were closer together on the desk.
Yeah, you know, Maynard made that tweet about sexual tension on the broadcast, so we just had to reduce the tension.
I assume that In Control just wanted to be closer to everybody else.
I mean, there's that also. Did you hear he wanted to get like a tattoo of my face on his arm? That's why he's not here this week.
Me. Easier for him to punch people out of retirement when he's in closer range to them.
I guess it's a good sign then, right? That he's not doing that. He's just getting a tattoo of my face.
Is he though?
Is he though? No. I don't actually know he's getting a tattoo of. But all right. Taking a look at our schedule for today. Once again, we are going to be doing MaNa versus DnS.
Yeah.
Following that up, it's going to be that lower bracket match, and then the winner bracket match. We'll be facing off versus the winner of this match.
Yeah, I mean, the Hero Marine played a great first series. I mean, the way that he played around the surround. I was telling you guys off air, it hurts my heart to see someone build an add-on on the Reaper spot on Catalyst, because you're basically saying, please kill me. Especially.
Well, Hero Marine obliged.
Yeah, happily obliged. Yeah.
That was a little bit rough. The funny thing is you're talking about the PvP and like the cannon rushes and stuff, and you know, Nate, our first map for this PvP is Lost and Found. And
I want to see it.
God.
I never realized. I have played so much Protoss lately, and I'm like, I love PvZ. I love PvT. I'm super cheesy against Terran, and against Zerg, I rush to carriers.
30% of my games, I'm getting cannon rushed.
And then I'm like...
I mean, the funny thing is I'm cannon rushing 100% of my games, but 30% of my games, someone's cannon rushing me.
And now someone's like, Nate, can you stop talking about your ladder experience? Okay, well, I'll talk about other people's. I go, like, watch Parting. He's getting cannon rushed. He's losing to cannon rushes. I go to watch Roddy. He's getting cannon rushed. Everyone's getting cannon rushed, FearDragon.
It's glorious. It's glorious. But so we're going to be starting up here in the top right-hand corner of the map, top of the blue Protoss player. He is Team Liquid's MaNa.
Well, thankfully, neither of these guys are that insane. He's facing off against our red Protoss player, who, if I recall correctly, we had a lot of good things to say about this guy in his Challenger performances so far this year. He's Frenchman. He is DnS.
Yeah, I think you'd definitely be right about that. DnS has had some pretty great performances in Challenger for the most part. But like you said, none of these players are going to be going for any kind of weird, cheeky cannon rush shenanigans. But
you're right,
but they're both very aware of the potential, and that's why MaNa has that probe on the low ground.
Yeah, that's, goodness. I just never really... Back in the day, because I hadn't played Protoss since, like, Heart of the Swarm. And I'm like, oh yeah, people cannon rush, you just kind of like rush out the Stalker, but now it hits with the 12 worker star. You can get them out so fast.
Yeah. No, it's great because, yeah, it's like you were saying, when the 6 workers started, it'd be like, yeah, there's like 1, maybe 2 cannons going up at a time. But now with the 12 workers start, you're like, okay, so I got my probe out there, the pylon finished up, I'm gonna throw down 4 cannons. It's like, oh, okay, this is escalating quickly.
Yep. It's brutal. It's painful. As evidenced by my PTSD to make this the only thing I can talk about at the start of the PvP.
Yeah, but there's not a whole lot else going on.
Yeah, I was
going
to say, thankfully it is PvP, so there is nothing to talk about until the Cybernetics core finishes. You know, trends that I remember from watching our European Protoss play, you get a decent amount of people that do like the Stalker Sentry opening, where they're like, I'm just going to expand quickly. That makes me think of players like Showtime. He did that a lot. And that's what we're going to see out of DnS. Look at me. I remember things, Ravi. I pay attention. I can talk about Protoss.
I'm so proud of you, Nate. We do have, like you said, the Stalker Sentry opening coming out from DnS, but it is going to be MaNa that mixes things up a little bit, gets up the double adept, and I also love that he's just doing pylon in the core. So this is kind of funny because if you don't scout every single inch of that main base, you're going to, as a Protoss player, say, I saw 1 pylon, and
the other one at?
Is there another one? And we might even see him be a little bit hyper-aware of the potential for a proxy, but the Adepts are also moving across the map, and there is going to be a good chance that that probe doesn't really get an opportunity to scout that around.
Interesting things to note, FearDragon, despite the fact that he did not see that Stargate, he's getting one on his own anyway. Of course, the double Adept opening, the double-double, he's gotten 2 more coming out. The goal here, I mean, these guys This can really get out of hand very quickly if you're caught off guard by this. Of course, the Sentry Force Field's not going to block. You keep a probe on the top of the main ramp to try and warp in a shield battery, and there we see it.
Yep.
And that's just to block him out. The shield battery is a better choice than the pylon, because the pylon builds in 18 seconds. So by putting the shield battery there, you don't have to cancel as many times if you want to hold it there for longer.
Yep. Nice little bits, but okay. Adepts are going to actually get caught by these Stalkers, which is a nice little find there for DnS, but the Phoenix for MaNa is getting really aggressive because he does not know what he's up against.
What do you think? Maybe try to pick up the Sentry and shade the Adepts in?
Oh, okay. He sees a hallucinated Phoenix. He sees, and that's actually such a great way to buy time because he scares him for a moment.
Yeah, but then the real Phoenix comes out, the great Jabate.
And yeah, the Phoenix is already lower on hit points, so DnS wins that fight.
Ouchie, wow.
Oh,
yeah.
that was actually so sick because just buying that extra little bit of time allows his Phoenix to get out. If that Phoenix does not come out, the Phoenix for MaNa comes forward, sees the Stargate right before DnS has his own Phoenix, and then he gets out of there alive.
Now this confuses me, Ravi. I'm not sure what the play here is going to be because we have the fast robotics facility follow-up, but now you're going to be behind on Phoenix forever if you keep building them, especially if you want to attack, which is what the Warp Prism tells me he wants to do. I don't know how that works, because the Prism gets shut down by the Phoenix, your Phoenix gets shut down by the Phoenix, and then, I mean, DnS is also still building units. He's getting money from that second base now, too.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird situation. I am somewhat with you. The weird thing about PvP, though, is that it can turn into the Phoenix Wars, but I would feel more and more often we are actually seeing a lot of pros players go up to like 4 to 5 Phoenix, and then I'm just gonna add on the gateways. I'm gonna try and turn this into a big gateway attack.
Is he though? He's got another Stargate coming up.
DnS is doing that, but MaNa is very much looking to make a big gateway pressure with that Warp Prism.
Yeah, he's gonna need to get a lot done. Do we have any extra batteries being warped in at all? No,
not at the natural.
Okay, so...
And the Warp Prism can actually, I mean, he has to be very careful about this because there's so many Phoenix now, but he can unload some of those units into the main base before his own Phoenix go down. I don't know if he wants to, though.
My concern there just comes back to dealing with the Phoenix anti-air, but he has got a lot of units in his face, so MaNa's going to try and punch this one in on this natural expansion. Gravitation's been popped up.
Yep, has to cancel a lot of those Graviton lifts just because his opponent's Phoenix are pretty dang strong, but unfortunately right now for DnS, he just doesn't have that much on the ground. The 3 Stalkers are holding the line, but the probes are doing a majority of the tanking here, so he loses quite a few of them. Even the Phoenix getting target fire down. I think that MaNa is going to have more than enough to actually get the damage done he needs to potentially end this game here.
I liked everything at the start of this game for DnS. I was feeling good for him getting the Phoenix pick off, but that natural expansion, taking both of the gases on it, maybe a little bit too on the greedy side, as double Phoenix production is still going to be very difficult to deal with all of these Stalkers. As they come out, they're only going to be able to lift up one-ish unit. The probes are going for the hug of death. DnS still has a worker lead. He still has that Nexus. MaNa did not expand behind this, but now I'm asking myself. He did get the Prism, so if MaNa wants to reinforce, he does have to run all the way across the map.
I mean, but he is more than happy just doing that because there's still only going to be 2 gateways worth of units popping out over here for DnS. And MaNa, even if he has to walk them all the way across the map, he is warping in 4 at a time. And the Phoenix are great. They can pop out, but they only lift up some of these Stalkers, and that's going to be it. GG, MaNa takes the first game.
Bring in some good aggression. I thought it was like, okay, so you hit the Stargate, but you lose the first Phoenix like that, and it seems like, at least from a lot of games you see, you lose your momentum in that situation. Because if both players try to build Phoenix from that point, you're dead. Like, you just never. And I've had that painful experience. You get if your opponent has 1 more Phoenix than you in a Phoenix war, you're like, oh, I've got 7 Phoenix and he's got 8. Maybe I can do some weird micro. It's like, no.
Yeah, I really want to say that was really good. Like, first DnS had that sick move. Again, the hallucinated Phoenix coming out from the Sentry, just scaring MaNa, even for a split second where he backs up for a moment. He's like, oh, it's hallucination. I'm not taking damage. I'll go back in. That buying a little bit of time was so sick from DnS, but MaNa just had such a good read on the game because it's so common in PvP where you say, I lost my first Phoenix because I got aggressive with it. And now my opponent's just going to be ahead in the Phoenix Wars. What's the most common thing that happens when you're ahead in the Phoenix Wars? Well, you just say, yeah, bring them on. Let's do the Phoenix Wars. So MaNa just saying, like, I'm not even going to try and play it. I'm just going to go for this attack that hits at that slight vulnerable timing where you've invested in the second Stargate, but you don't even have a second extra Phoenix made.
Yeah, it's scary. I was a little bit concerned at first, but I mean, the way that he just kept bringing in the Stalkers and kept the Prism with the army, I'm like, okay, if you try to do a drop while you're poking the front, like, I don't think that that's going to do anything. But the way that he did it, where he's like, yeah, this is just for reinforcing. I just don't think that you're going to have enough gateway units because Phoenix are very expensive. I think based on build time, they're some of the most expensive units in the game.
They build very quickly. That is the funny thing about them comparative to their costs. That's true.
Yeah, for the amount of, it's like 150 minerals, 100 gas, they build in less than 30 seconds. Because it was 30 seconds Blizzard time, I remember. It's like 25 or 26 seconds you can spend an absurd amount of money on Phoenix when you're chrono boosting them out.
Yeah, you go broke pretty quickly on that double Stargate, but
they're fun. They're fun to micro. Just cost a lot.
All right, well, we're going to be starting up here in the top left-hand corner of the map, top of the blue blue Protoss player. We got Team Liquid's MaNa.
And he's feeling good. That was you know, the Adepts didn't do anything at the start of the game. His Phoenix wasn't able to do anything, but he still managed to clear it out against this guy. In the bottom right of Acid Plan, our red Protoss player, he is DnS.
And also really important to note, again, the way that these two players open up, because you brought up the Adepts, right? MaNa goes to the Adepts, and the big thing about the Adepts is, yes, you want to be able to kill off a worker or two, but these days, the players that MaNa is playing against, it's not expected. It's not expected that you're going to be able to get the damage on. The big thing that you're also looking to get there is scouting information. When you go for Stalker Sentry, you're not looking for the immediate scout, you're looking for the hallucinated Phoenix scout, but remember, that got picked off, so there was no information that DnS really had about what MaNa was going to do, so he didn't know that there was going to be that big gateway attack.
You see the Phoenix naturally, but that doesn't tell you enough because he himself was going for Phoenix and he expanded, so you have to be really on the ball with that. It's kind of like the double-edged sword. It's like that hallucinated Phoenix ended up contributing to the great debate, but at the same time, he's like, well,
he debated himself.
In a way.
Okay, well, we'll see if these two players decide to open up pretty similarly here. We do have MaNa actually not just scouting his natural this game. He's actually going for the scout across the map once again, and DnS doing the exact same thing. I say this game, but yeah, this is exactly what happened last game. You want to just make sure your opponent's not doing anything super cheeky in the early stages.
Well, you know what? Good news for DnS is he sees two pylons with his probe scout.
Yeah.
So he should not be asking that question. Where is it? Where is the other pylon? What are you hiding from me? And there we have him put his pylon on the low ground. I expect that in this game, he'll probably try to expand again. And you just have to be aware of what's going on. Cautious of the Stargate play. Maybe you get another battery or two, you know?
Yeah. And with the double Stalker opening over here for MaNa, he can move out a little bit further on the map if he wants to before anything like a Stargate would start popping out things like an Oracle. But of course, we'll see if MaNa actually opts to do that. He's just going to poke forward a little bit. And I think when the third and... Okay, actually, no, he's just going to go for the Sentry follow-up behind this. I thought for a moment he was going for a third and fourth Stalker.
Yeah. All right, well, that robotics facility is definitely a shakeup for MaNa, rather than opening with a Stargate himself. DnS, if you get the Phoenix, you can scout really quickly. Of course, the Oracle can do that as well. You have the potential to get the probe pickoffs. And in the rock, paper, scissors of PvP that sometimes happens, that Stargate opening can give you a great way to bully a robo player if you want to go for some sort of attack in the I'd say the pre-charge lot Archon Immortal phase of the game. You do have that Graviton lift, which is really hard to play around for grabbing the sentries, eliminating the Immortals from fights.
Now, the funny thing is, though, as a Stargate player, you don't necessarily know if your opponent also opened up Stargate. And this is part of the... Oh, I love this. Going for the hallucinated Oracle Scout instead of the Phoenix, just trying to...
I don't have a Stargate.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? It's just a hallucination.
I mean, even this, the other part of this is that the timing of this is about a little bit... It's pretty close to when a potential Oracle would be popping out from a Stargate if it was a Stargate opening. So I think that MaNa will probably actually try and respect this a little bit, and we'll probably pull some workers, maybe.
Well, that looks like a transfer. And the Oracle comes up, he's like, well, I got a battery.
Yeah, he's like, whatever. And now he attacks and he's like, oh, you're taking a little too much damage on that.
And I think the funny thing is, if you're DnS, you want the Oracle to die. You want the hallucination to die. Now he's like, oh yeah, hallucination. And now he's got a Warp Prism on the way again. And look at that, couple of Phoenix, so just hashtag chillin'.
Okay, Hallucinating Phoenix for MaNa should be able to scout this out, though. Although the Phoenix for DnS are moving out. Oh my god, is he barely? No, he's going to see this. He is going to see the 3 Phoenix. And nobody hallucinates 3 Phoenix, so this is real.
Who does that?
Actually, there was a recent PvP where someone actually did that. They hallucinated like a couple of Phoenix to make it look like it was double Stargate, but they were just following up with gateway units.
That's clever.
Yeah.
I think my favorite is still back in the day when the old school Immortal, when you hallucinated it, it actually
had
hardened shields.
But they took 20 damage instead of 10
Still, considering that
still
the
tanked.
hallucination has that much health, it was actually still good.
Ooh, a little awkward over here. DnS, who's already up in workers, starting to kill off a few of MaNa's now. MaNa is able to snipe off one of those adepts, but still loses 3 workers in the process. I mean, that's kind of a little bit painful here. And now we got the Phoenix scouting out this push. Oh man, this is
so
really rough.
Huge. Says goodbye to your sentries, and as we all know, Stalkers, they take forever to kill Phoenix. And this is what I was thinking about in the last game, is getting this position on the push. And because it was a robotics facility base, he has way less Stalkers than he did on map 1. And that just gives DnS this opportunity to say, hey, yeah, you better go home. MaNa's like, I'm gonna start up another warp prism.
Even if he does go home, he warps in all of his units on the low ground, so that means that his main base is going to be a little bit exposed here to the Phoenix, and the Phoenix have plenty of energy to pick off even more workers. DnS was already leading in workers, Nate.
This is why I play Stargate every PvP, Ravi, because this is the ultimate triggering. Of course, I have less Phoenix, so I die, but at least I feel like I tried.
No, I mean, this is one of those points in the game where as the Protoss player that's in this MaNa situation, you kind of feel hopeless a little bit unless you could just make a big attack happen. That's kind of what MaNa's going to go for. This is sort of a, I don't want to say a final hurrah, because if he does enough, maybe.
It's tough, right? The positioning is going to be everything. You want to make sure that the Prism naturally stays alive, but you also have to have the Stalkers and the Sentries ready to hit the Guardian Shield and make sure that you can not only protect the Immortals from being picked off, but those Sentries as well. Like, the Stalkers have to be your big bad bully, and look at that, DnS. My God, he's created a solar farm in his natural. Look at all those damn batteries.
Oh my God. Well, this is a really, really difficult part, and that many shield batteries. Even got a photon cannon or 2 in there, and with a couple of force fields, he locks down a handful of these Stalkers at the front. I like that MaNa's keeping that Warp Prism far enough back that the Phoenix can't easily pick it off, but this is still being very, very difficult to deal with. Oh, the Adept okay, I thought he was going to maybe shade those Adepts and let that finish over to the main to try and distract him, but...
Yeah, he's depleted the energy on a few of the batteries, but does not seem to have found the purchase that he was looking for. I mean, he still has the Immortals alive, but it's like, at this point, is he just going to warp it another round? The clock is ticking as DnS, he's got that Twilight Council coming in, as well as the Forge. We're going to see the +1, we're going to see the charge.
But, you know, the funny thing here, Nate, is that, MaNa is going to, God.
MaNa hasn't had, like, a pro production going behind this either, so he's only just started. He's down 6 workers.
It was 2 warp gates to 5, though, so I had a little bit of hope there for MaNa. But I guess that even with the defender's advantage and the fact that your Immortals are not really going to be able to get to the fight very quickly, whereas DnS is producing more and more as time goes on, I guess that it does become a little too difficult to, I guess, make that attack work. But at the same time, I don't know if just going back home against a Phoenix player is really going to work either. For this reason.
PvP is weird like that. The Stalkers, as nice as he's like, well, I've got some sort of anti-air, but, oh, MaNa, he's getting Resonating Glaives in +1. So, okay. This I don't see very often. I mean, the natural thing to do is what DnS is doing, which is, oh, wow. This is
really, really ballsy. He's actually going to recall the Phoenix he needs. MaNa needs to recall immediately. Yes, okay. He will be able to make it out of there in time.
I recall, it recalls. Okay, so everybody's home, everybody's safe. But Resonating Glaives, so the normal thing to do is you go Charge Lot, Immortal, Archon. Like, that is PvP in a nutshell. And MaNa, I mean, maybe this is like PvP in a cashew or some other, something a little bit different. Maybe an orange peel. He's got a lot of Adepts, so hoping to capitalize on having the Stalkers maybe take a little bit while the Adepts kill the Zealots. I don't know. It's very, very different.
Ooh, okay. I think DnS smells that something is up because he sees the army is not there, and he just says, I don't even need to worry about the workers right now. I've secured a lead.
He wants his Phoenix energy for the fight.
Exactly. He needs that Phoenix energy for the fight, and he also doesn't know how far across the map MaNa's army is, so he needs to make sure that they're also in position to help defend.
Yeah, this is a huge. Whoops. And look at that. Immediately cancels that third. He's like, my man, I don't need to die over. I don't need to die here.
You know, the funny thing is, MaNa is actually not that far behind workers anymore either.
No, well, I mean, it's this situation. You're stuck on 2 base, 2 base. This is still weird, though. He still has a solar farm over here. He's added a couple of photon cannons as
And
well.
those Archons are going to cause so many problems for these Adepts unless... Oh, the Adepts get into the main base? No, okay.
I mean, your best bet is to just try and push the Adepts through wherever you would, like, assume the force fields are going to come from, but then they're going to force field away the rest of your units.
I mean, the funny thing about the Adepts is that if they actually do shade forward, the Archons can't make it through that wall. The Zealots are also going to have trouble making it through that wall if they're well positioned. So
the Phoenix will be able to pick off a good amount of them immediately, though, and then I think the Charge Zealots could just dive on top of the Stalkers and the Immortal. So if you're in this situation as MaNa, I don't know what the hell your follow-up is, but maybe try to get the base behind this and just chill.
Ooh, feedbacks, feedbacks.
Feedbacks. Is he gonna...
Oh, he's doing it.
Whop.
1, 2,
Whop.
3.
Whop.
Doesn't quite get the third one.
Not
but
bad.
He's
not gonna go in.
He's just gonna try to keep scaring him.
Feedback a sentry?
No. Oh, you do not want to come in on top of that.
God, this is reminding me of like the early days of Legacy of the Void, where it's like, you build Adepts, I build Adepts, and that's it. It's just the Adept war.
Yeah, at least back then we broke that whole meta with the Disruptor, but having a little bit of trouble on this one now.
This is just so weird.
This is the standoff of the century, man.
He's like, I'm just gonna hold you in here. Now he's taking the third. Okay, I like this. He's like, I'm just gonna hold you in here.
Oh, but DnS
forever.
gonna try breaking out here. It's kind of funny. The Zealots are gonna get in on top of these Adepts. The Adepts, are they gonna let that shade finish? I don't think so. No, they are. But now the Zealots get in on top of the Stalkers and the Immortals, and MaNa gets crushed.
Yeah, the shade. It's like, oh, you got to the other side of the army, but it actually allowed the units to fight by the Adepts, which is where the shield batteries were. So it's like, oh yeah, he's gonna get the Zealots that he warped in. It's like, now they're all being healed.
I mean, to be fair, also, I don't think that the engagement was going that well for MaNa anyway. So I don't know. Even if he canceled those shades, I don't think he just saves that.
There's a reason Charged Out Immortal Archon is a thing in PvP.
It's pretty nice. It's pretty good. It's a pretty nice composition.
It's pretty good.
But I mean, we kind of see DnS being able to secure that sort of lead off of being able to deny that one snipe off on the Warp Prism and the sentries there. That was what really sealed the deal, and everything from there on was just DnS kind of holding that advantage in the game.
Yep, it's the difficult part. You want to go Robo, you want to get Immortals, great. You want to get a Warp Prism, great. You want Sentries, great. These units all synergize very well, but if your opponent has that Stargate, they shut that down, and DnS is like, I'm feeling good. He's a rich boy, and you can't stop him.
Exactly, and I mean, just that is the power of Phoenix. That's the reason why we see Phoenix so often in PvP these days, is that if your opponent ever tries to go for those move outs, you just pick off a bunch of their workers, and you force them into a position where they're effectively all in. That's why we saw MaNa not really trying to take a third, really just saying, okay, I have to get something.
He should have brought a probe out and just offensively put like 12 shield batteries outside of his base. That's what he should have done.
You know, I've seen Roddy's been doing that a lot.
Yeah, you know what? I feel bad for Roddy's opponents because that looks, whew, that's rage-inducing. I mean, as a Terran player, I usually experience that on one base rather than going for my natural.
Yeah.
Going out of my natural, excuse me.
But I mean, Pros is a little bit better of a race, so we need to have two bases.
It's not completely where I was going. I was more so saying, like, he's locked in on two bases. You can build a whole arc. Of shield batteries. Like, you can build a great wall of them.
That is very true. No, I know exactly what you mean, and it is pretty scary to deal with in those kind of situations. But we are going to be moving on to Dreamcatcher.
Yeah. And it just seems like a MaNa thing to do. MaNa seems like the kind of Protoss that would build a wall of shield batteries with his two base.
Yeah, he absolutely would. I'm pretty sure.
You know, maybe use a couple of your sprays. We never see, you know, it's like we have the rule with no skins, but like we never see these players use their sprays.
You know,
is that in the rule book?
I honestly believe, and please, if you guys agree with me, just voice your opinions on this. I want every unit to be able to use sprays, because I think that's the biggest limiting factor.
Every unit doesn't need to be able to use sprays.
When you're 8 minutes into the game, the last thing you're going to have with your army, unless you're like Maru, is a bunch of SCVs or like your drones or your probes.
I think what you need to say at that point is that mules should be able to spray.
Mules should also be able to spray. Also,
it counts as a worker. Close enough.
It wasn't a man or mule. I just needed a spray there. All right, well, we're going to be starting up here in the top left. On top of the red Protoss player is Good
job bringing this series back. Not bad. I felt really good about MaNa's chances after the way that first game went down. He is in the bottom right. He has our blue Protoss. He's MaNa.
Look, I'm just saying that
What spray do you
35.
use?
Huh?
Are you a cheese block sprayer?
No, I'm actually worse because you know that I cannon rush every single game, right? So
I
my
did not
probe
know
is
that.
oh, I cannon rush 100% of my games lately.
You're a sick puppy.
No, actually that's not true. I've done cannon rushing on one account 100% of my games, and then there's another account that I wait for my opponent to move out, and I've been warping in blink DTs in mass.
Oh my.
So in Diamond League also, like they wait until they at least have like 50 or 60 supply.
Has In Control told you about the game where he did that to me?
No.
I had a sick game against In Control that ended with I barely was able with my mech army to defeat his sky toss, and I'm going across the map. I've got like 6 Liberators, 6 Vikings, like 6 tanks, 4 Cyclones, 10 Hellions. I'm like, oh yeah, this is over. He's got like 2 Tempests and like 10 Zealots. And then I only see this on the replay, but as I'm making my way to his base, he warps in 19 Dark Templar with all of the money that he has left, because his Stargates aren't going to build carriers fast enough. So he's like, and then he blinks them.
Yep.
Kills everything instantly. It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
It's pretty you know what my favorite part is? Because you're like Grandmaster MMR and stuff. In Diamond League MMR, the reaction times are just a little bit slower to scan. So it's like I get one extra swipe off, and in that one swipe, an extra like 40% of their army dies.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing that people don't realize. Blink DTs are not meant for harassing. That's what Prism's
They're actually an army unit.
Blink DTs are an army unit. If you blink 7 DTs onto an enemy army, you are one-shotting half, usually everything.
It's glorious, man. But going back to what I was saying, the reason why, 40% of the reason why I'm going for cannon rushes is that I can use my spray, and I have the GG spray. So
the GG spray,
you
are sick.
So it's not offensive GG. Artosis can't get on my back, but I do throw it down.
That's offensive.
I throw it down.
And it's a GG.
No, I throw it down outside the vision range of them, so they don't see it unless they rewind the game, and then they see the GG skill.
That is
so it's
really messed up.
If they GG and leave before I GG.
We can't be friends anymore.
Oh, well, hold that thought. DnS actually did go for the 4 Stalker opening, so it's not necessarily a bad situation here.
Yeah, the sentries should be able to buy him enough time. Both players are going Robo, by the way.
If you're really clever about this, DnS, and by the way, he's not actually going for the expansion, but he can try and bait out those force fields a little bit earlier with just the 4 Stalkers. If he baits out one more, there's actually not enough energy for losing a Phoenix Scout, and MaNa will not really see that there's no expansion yet.
Yeah, and it looks like DnS, is this really
he sees the warp in.
Fast? Is this going to be a really fast Disruptor drop or Colossus drop from DnS? That Robo Bay on one base.
I'm actually not positive, because normally I would say something like Disruptors would be really nice here, but I could actually see Colossus to like knock down force fields or something. No, in that case you just go for an Archon, I think.
Yeah. It's weird. Here we go. What's it gonna be? I mean, Disruptors this early on when you don't have any supporting tech for MaNa, I can see it.
You know what's actually really clever about this though is that it's almost working against MaNa to some extent that he's seen this push so early, because all right, it is gonna be Disruptors, but because MaNa's seen this push so early, he actually cut workers for such a long time. He's not as far ahead on workers
Prism
as you
speed.
think. Okay, 4 Stalkers being dropped in. That is going to allow him to pick off a couple of workers here.
And it can even that worker count out that you were talking about where he's not really as far ahead as he should be.
Yeah, and now we already see that, just picks up, gets out of there, killing off a few more of those workers. MaNa's pulled half of his army over to the main base with the Adept Shade into the natural. Gonna try and get one more worker kill. I think he got one, almost got a second one.
You're getting a little bit of work done there. And I think he's got to bring the Prism home, go pick up your Disruptors. We'll see sees DnS's best M canning impression over here in a moment. Lock and load these bad boys.
Yeah, I mean, this is sick, but I almost feel like this is more of a puck thing, because M canning goes for like the macro Disruptors. This is some like really aggro Warp Prism speed Disruptor play.
Yeah, let's see what he can get done with it. It's scary. He's got his second Disruptor back home, so oh my goodness.
He's going to see the Warp Prism. He doesn't necessarily know that this is a Disruptor in it.
And 2
But
Immortals.
Speed Prism, I guess, actually is a bit of a tell.
And here we go.
4 kills. Not bad.
Well, the Stargate coming out, I think, is a great. That's That is really, really nice, because the Speed Prism, nothing else is going to be able to deal with that other than a Phoenix in this situation. He's like, well, try to use the Disruptor. If he was able to land a big shot there, that would be huge, but seems unlikely.
All right, Adept's going to be able to snag a couple of kills. The Immortals also unload, and the Disruptor, I mean, it's great, but it cannot get that close. Ooh, really cutting it close there.
Getting the Adepts is pretty nice, though, for helping to protect the probes because of how, in terms of the way that they shoot. And the Immortals are a little bit more expensive, but really getting a lot of work done. Trying to play around the shield battery is not easy.
Yeah, DnS also ended up losing his own Warp Prism. He ended up losing the Disruptor as well, and now losing 10 workers. MaNa is securing a pretty solid lead in this game.
Stargate was just a perfect call to deal with this Speed Prism. Like, it's one of those situations where you're like, oh yeah, my opponent built a Warp Prism. Big deal. There's a couple of ways you can deal with that, but when they get that Warp Prism speed, you're not catching it with anything. You have to get a Phoenix. It's the only thing you're going to be able to build as Protoss that can chase that down. So having that option also means, and the Phoenix still have utility for your Dragon because he can pick up the Disruptors and cancel their Purification Novas.
That is a massive deal here because there's not even that many Disruptors out just yet for DnS.
Just two.
He's not even making more right now. He's just got Charge on the way. He's got, there's already the cancel on that, and he's already getting a pick up on this. He's getting the pick off on that Disruptor for free.
You've been shut down, baby.
Charge is not even going to be anywhere near completing. Force fields out the Stalkers and the Sentries, and with that Warp Prism, he can also pick up these weakened Immortals, pull them back. Sentry Garden Shield also being utilized.
He's too good at the video game. Streamer, please. Wow. MaNa making an amazing push up into this natural of DnS. Perfectly shuts down the Disruptor play. Lost a handful of probes to it, but otherwise, he's doubling his opponent's supply now. GG, as MaNa takes our second best of 3 of the day.
Yeah, a really weird build there from DnS where he goes for the kind of looking to be like gateway aggression, but then adds on a Robo Bay and goes with the Disruptor drop. He does mind game MaNa a little bit in terms of getting him to cut workers maybe longer than he wanted to.
Yeah.
But overall, I feel like that build it didn't really work out against what MaNa was doing.
Having the Sentries the time that he did to push away the Stalkers initially, like he didn't get the Adepts inside. He kept the probe by the main base ramp.
Yep.
Even though he was on 2 bases, which as a Protoss player, you might not think at that stage of the game that you're dealing with the Adept run by. So just very good awareness by MaNa, and also the Stargate call was perfect. You get rid of the Speed Prism. That eliminates the Disruptor that they had in there as well. Only 2 Disruptors, 3 Phoenix, pick them up. Easy peasy. Great play by MaNa.
Yeah, really, really good reaction, and that is going to secure him that spot in the winners match coming up a little bit later on in the broadcast. But first, we're going to be hopping into that lower bracket match, Soul versus DnS. We got PvTs galore coming up.
Yeah.
Who's your prediction on this one?
It's a tough one.
Soul and DnS?
I'm feeling DnS.
All right. Well, we'll find out if Nate's correct in just a little bit. Don't go anywhere.